I've been here at PNL helping deploy clusters in EMSL about 20 years now, and so as we've seen access methods progress and stuff, on demand was really a kind of a changing thing. So I think it's really good. This is a picture actually of the data center or the computing center where Tahoma sits. It's kind of there behind my coworker Kenny there. We'll talk a little bit about Tahoma and then I'll show you on demand. And we're going to do live demos, so I hope it all works and everything works well. So we'll go there. All right. Come on. Okay. So Tahoma deployed 2020, just right as the pandemic was going. We kind of got it late because of that, but it showed up. There's 148 Intel Cascade Lake nodes, lots of cores, lots of memory in each one of them. And then we have some AI ML nodes with even more memory in them with the NVIDIA Tesla machine GPU cards in it. Lots of memory in aggregate, 10 petabytes of storage available, and then a lot of actual local disk for running really fast things locally to each node. And we can do just over a petaflop peak performance as you put it all together. It's made up of a couple different types of nodes. We talked about just the compute nodes with that 36 processors, 385, 4 gigabytes of memory, and 2 terabytes of flash. It's kind of what they look like if you like to look at computers. And then the machine learning nodes, a little bigger node because you'd need to get the GPUs in there and such, with a lot of memory and extra flash storage on them. These are all in a data center in the EMSL building, not too far away, which is what we all are here for. On demand is a set of tools and a way of installing and providing this web-based interactive view into the cluster. It's been supported over the years by an NSF-funded grants or funding through Ohio Supercomputing Center. And as we've deployed it, we've got all these tools available on it. And we can add more tools as we go along if things come up. I don't know if there's a new Java studio that comes out that's all web-based. We could work on getting it deployed. But I'll show you all these things in our demos and how to use them pretty much. So that's the list. We'll go through each one of them. To use this resource, of course, you have to have Tahoma access. And you can get that with, any EMSL proposal. You put in proposals, you send emails to Jay. Nikki showed us how to do it and taught us how to do that. So do that. Once you're on there, there's some links there to get it to the Nexus portal and stuff. But you go to this URL, tahomaondemand.emsl.pnl.gov. It'll ask for authentication. And it's a slightly different whether you're inside the network or outside the network. So you can use this remotely really easily. And then we'll go into demos. So we'll slide over here. Once you log in, this is what you'll see normally. Just some apps, the little menus up here at the top. I got to unlock my tablet so I can see what I'm supposed to be demoing. We'll first look at if you have a bunch of stuff in your home directory like I do. This takes a little bit to load, but you can look directly at your files on the cluster. You can see either in the menu. These are all the project directories I have on our large file system. That's why they're popping up over there, and then they kind of show up over there on the left. You can see I've got, many years of files laying around in my home directory. We'll jump into this directory just for a moment, show you some of the things you can do on here. So you can actually just click on a file that's a text file, and you can see it directly through the web browser. That's really nice, right? You can then say if we wanted to copy this, check two things now. We can directly press the copy path if you want to see it. Not seeing the copy button. That's supposed to be here. Name download. There it is, it's up there. I got to look at my screen, not look at you guys. So you press this copy button, right? Then you go somewhere else. Let's put it in this test directory. And we can move it over there, move files around like that. And you see, you can then, if you need to, you can upload files directly through this. You can download these files. Just you click on them and hit the download button, right? And it should download here in a moment. So managing your files, you can do it also through the web browser. I wouldn't suggest uploading terabyte-sized data files this way. Might take a little longer than your laptop or your web browser can deal with. If you need to move large files like that, let me know and we can help you with that. There's other ways to do that properly. But for these simple config files, data sets, you can move them in and out of the file system pretty easily this way. You can also edit files. Let's go back to that one we had. That was up here. Right, that one there. Just click edit and it'll throw you into a simple editor. We can, you know, put new data in here any way we want. And then you've got, you know, your save button and you can do that. And yeah, I'm fine with that because I didn't want to. You can also look at your jobs. If you've submitted Slurm jobs otherwise through other means or something, or through here, you can see the active jobs. I might not have any active right now, but we can come back to this. We can switch to all jobs and we'll see what else is going on, maybe. The delays in live demos are the best. You can see it loading up there. Must be a lot of things going on. There we go. So that's all the jobs currently running on there. You can, you know, move around if you want to see what they are. Push this little chevron thing and it'll pop up a little more information on the job that you can see. So this one's waiting to run, stuff like that. We can also make our own jobs with the job composer. Did not expect that to pop out a new thing. Hold on. Yeah, it's popping out a new one. Okay. So I have a simple job here. We can build from a template. So we'll just call it test job 2. And we'll put it on the main cluster. And we can create the job. If we want to at this point, we can click on that main job and it'll put us back in that editor. You can see what your job script looks like. This one's very simple. It says hello world, and that's all we need. It uses one node for about 10 minutes, which is probably a little bit overkill. We'll put in a job account and save that, and then we can directly submit that. It says you typed that wrong somehow. Let's see what I did. Oh, it auto-corrected for me. No, there we go. I'll submit that again. You'll see it already started running. And over here on the right, you can see it's going to eventually show up another out file here in my directory. There it is. And we can click on that as well. And it will pull up, and as expected, it should say hello world is my plan here. Once it loads, there's our hello world. Might be hard for you guys to see, but it's up there. All the way back to our, if you like an interactive shell, those are available as well right there on the top. You click on that, and given a few seconds, it'll drop you into a shell. It doesn't really like all my customizations, but right, you list all my files again. You can run Slurm commands just as if you were on the command line. Now that blue color doesn't come through very well, but it's a full shell, just as if you'd SSH'd in like before. You might have noticed in the job information we were looking at, sometimes there's a an open terminal in that directory if you want to jump directly into that directory, or even in the file browser, there were buttons for jumping for a terminal in the directory you're already looking at. So that's kind of handy. All right, so now we get to one of the really nice tools as we go into these interactive applications. Many times people want to actually have a desktop for working with the system, or your applications only work over X Windows or have a graphical user interface. And this kind of structure of, we want to run a desktop, and then there's a bunch of options that you need to select. In this case, I'm going to use that same job. You can then select where you want your job to run. The normal and analysis nodes, we talked about those already, but there's also a couple workflow nodes. The big differences is here is what capabilities you have. The normal nodes, right? That's the compute node with lots of memory, but no GPU. Analysis node has the GPU. The workflow nodes is kind of these shared nodes. So you're not going to get as many CPUs in your job, so you can't do really big processing and stuff. But if you just need a desktop to submit other things or run apps that run other jobs, that works out pretty well. You can ask for how many nodes you want, how many hours, and then you hit this launch button, and it's actually going to submit a Slurm job for me right now that's going to get this started. So if there's not a compute node available for you right now, this may run later. It's just another Slurm task you've been asked for. While that's loading, I'm going to close some of these other tabs. We don't need them right now. Once this gets started, you can see it's given us a host we're on. There's a big blue button that says Launch Cluster Desktop. You click on that, and you get a Linux desktop that has, my stuff that I've had before. I can start a terminal. There's a web browser. If you use Firefox, you can get that started up. You can click around on the EMSL web page. We've installed various other tools on here. One of the ones we've used a lot, people have used a lot, is ImageJ or Fiji. That takes a second to run up. There's a couple development environments on here, some graphics tools. If you want new stuff, send me an email. I can add stuff pretty easily. There's the Spider ID someone asked for, so we installed it in there. And then if you use ImageJ for a lot of things, it's here. I use it to open images mostly for demos, but it's just an interactive desktop. One really nice thing about this is this view only link over here. I can take that link and send it to a collaborator that also has access to Tahoma, and they can see what I'm doing. They can't change anything or do anything, but they can see what you're doing. So this is really nice. If you need someone to help you with something, you call them up and say, hey, just follow what I'm doing. And you don't, with these desktops, when Zoom and stuff, sometimes it's hard to, share things around and delays and stuff, but you can just share them and they can pull it directly like that. So that's pretty handy. Once you're done, we selected an hour, but if we want to not just let it sit around, you can just close it out. And then you click this delete button and it goes and cancels the Slurm job to clean it up. One big thing people have asked for is a Jupyter Notebook or Jupyter Lab interface. So you click that one and it goes faster usually. Come on. There we go. So kind of those same options. You have the project name. You can select a workflow node or analysis node. We'll go ahead and get a normal. No, I need a GPU node for my notebook. And you can select whether you want Jupyter Lab or Jupyter Notebook, if whichever one you're used to. You press the launch button. You give it a minute while it does the Slurm stuff. And then we should, in a moment, get a button here that says connect to Jupyter Lab as it gets going. So it says it's starting, so that means it's been scheduled. It's not waiting, so it's going to start here in a moment. There it goes. Select that Jupyter Lab button and you see Jupyter Lab starting and you drops it into this TensorFlow demo thing I've been working on, or playing with. And it's just a Jupyter Lab notebook. You can see, you can also get a shell directly in here on the cluster that you're on, or on the node you're on. You can then run all the cells, and it resets all the cells and starts running them. And you can follow it along in your normal, notebook manner of doing these. See how far it gets here. It's getting down there. You can see it's training, and then it'll do a probability model for us at the end. There you go. So we can do an RStudio server if you use R a lot. Same way, looks very similar. Press the launch button. And go. All right, so that one's starting now. You can see that other one's still around. It's just got both of them. So if I'm doing two different things, it works fairly well. We have found that running two RStudios, they seem to interact with each other, and one of them stops working. I'm not sure why yet, but something we'll probably need to look at to see if they can separate. There we go. Got our RStudio server. Yeah, see, my last one crashed. I like to just run one of the demo that's in here. It does some things, shows some pretty pictures, which is what good demos need, right? This is of one of the. And when you're done with these things, and you can see, I mean, it's got all the capabilities of an RStudio you would run, other than it's just running on the cluster as you, right, directly. So, all right. If you want to edit code directly, I mean, you saw the little editor, but if you want more of an IDE, there's a Visual Studio code server available. This one doesn't have as many options just because it runs slightly differently. It runs directly on the login nodes. And so there's not as much Slurm involved in getting it up. So you can kind of leave it up a lot longer if you need to and edit things throughout a day or something. And you don't have to actually get on a cluster. And after a moment, I'm going to go ahead and delete these other ones. While it starts. Oh, there's our VS Code. And I don't know how many of you use Visual Studio Code, but here's all my files. Right, there's a README I wrote not too long ago, right? Or oh, there's something else, but I can edit this file, and as soon as I edit it, it goes right to the cluster for editing. You can build up workspaces and do debugging and code and run make. You can get a shell in here as well. It's all integrated in here. So that works fairly well for editing on the cluster. And so other thing, if you've been an EMSL user for a while, one when you create data, we ask you to upload it into our data portal. And we can do that directly. A lot of our instruments have a dedicated uploader with them, but you can actually just launch an uploader directly on the cluster. Nice thing about this is the cluster has a lot of our file systems mounted that are shared between instruments. And we have EMSL FS, we have our archive, we have our big Tahoma file system. And so you can use this to create uploads that'll go into the Nexus system for people to download and get. That's how the data gets out publicly. Now I'm deleting these manually. Slurm will eventually clean them up, or On-Demand will eventually clean them up based off that time we set. But if I'm done with it, I like to kill it, use it for something else. But close the tabs. And there it goes. Okay. I don't know if you guys have seen the EMSL uploader, but this is what it'll look like here. If it ever shows, there we go. And then I can just, like, if I have a data set in this directory, right? Oh, there's that data set we copied earlier. You click that and it will eventually put it here in the upload, and then you push the upload files. There it goes, it's loaded it in. Well, it should have put our instrument in here, but there it is. We figure out our project. Some of the ones I'm on. Pick the user that's associated with it, which there should not be that many in this drop down, but since everything else is going slow, it's probably going to take a while to upload that. I'm not going to upload anything, but pretty ad hoc. I can just create an upload or do my upload and then let it go when On-Demand's done with it. So, all right, let's go ahead and clean those up. And then we'll go back to, hopefully went through all those. Oh, yeah, I forgot to show you that. Up here in the top, if you need to get to the online documentation with the MSC user guide, it's up there at the top if you need it. There's a section in here for using On-Demand. Kind of walks you through a lot of these things we've talked about already here in this demo. So if you need that. If you want, yeah, there's specific help, we showed that. If there's support you need, email this MSC Consulting and it'll go into a queue and it'll probably wind up in my email pretty quick. And I can see what I can do to help you with that. All right, do we have questions? Let's go to that. I don't know how I did on my time, but we'll go with questions now.
So do we also know what's the status of our job, like how much is in the queue, like
how long it's in the queue?
Yeah, and also how much is it, how much time you have to wait for
that's I mean, I cheated because I have a reservation and I can get that, and so they were starting really quick. But you can kind of see that in the jobs menu, in the jobs window. You can look at your job and it'll tell you what state it's in and whether it's pending, what it's waiting on, things like that. How long it's going to go, that's not shown in here. One thing I didn't really talk about, like you can see my job and you click that and you get the you know, I canceled it at some point, right? But it'll tell you why it's waiting and such, but as to when it was going to run, it doesn't tell you that. If you look on some of the, in fact, most of them have a little checkbox that'll email you when it starts. Down here, there's kind of a little checkbox. So if you're watching your email for it to start, that'll send you an email as soon as it's ready to start. I don't know if you can see that, but on your job, on the accounts you have, it tells you how many node hours you have left. So what's interesting is this one right here, it just says nothing because that one ended at the end of the fiscal year a few days ago. but it's still in the system that I'm on that account. So it still shows it, but it shows I have no balance. So it's kind of useful. Anybody else? Jay.
I have a question. So if you're opening tabs with your, and you're doing a lot of work on it, and then you accidentally do something like I do, like accidentally close a tab at the wrong time, is the job still there?
Yes.
Cool.
And you can come right back in here. You click on this My Interactive Sessions at the top, and that list should be there, right? My VS Code, I haven't killed it, even though I closed it. It's still just around. The buttons are still there. And when you delete these, they go away. If you don't delete them, you kind of have a history for a few days of the ones you've done. So even it'll show it was stopped. And so you know it was killed at some point that way. So.